kick it?
Yes, sir.
Woo! I'm not even gonna lie, I was a little nervous. I can't front y'all. You guys packed it out. My words might stumble, but let's get it. So my name is Tim Frye. I'm a grateful believer in Jesus Christ, and I struggle with drugs, alcohol, control issue, and today I choose recovery. Yeah. So I want to open up a little prayer. All heads bowed, eyes closed. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you, God, for bearing me with my scars so I can pass on my testimony, showing your grace over my life. Use me as a vessel tonight, Lord. Let these not be my words or my will. Let this be your way, your words, Father. In Jesus Christ, I pray, amen.
Amen.
Woo! So, this is a little weird, I'm not even going to lie. So I guess I'm just going to kick it, y'all are my buddies. So, my life before recovery was pretty normal in my eyes. I mean, doesn't everyone's dad grow up growing marijuana? I thought it was pretty normal in my household. So to understand my addiction, I need to start in the beginning. I never had God in my life, nor was it talked about in my household or in the environment I grew up in. My life kind of started out a little abnormal than others. So when my mom was giving birth to me, I flatlined inside of her. They told my mom that the machine was not working and that the buzz was just a normal sound to not freak her out. I had the umbilical cord wrapped around my neck. And so my mom prepared herself for the worst. But the grace of God showed up and saved my life. I'm not supposed to be here today, guys. I'll tell you that right now. I'm not supposed to be here. So I can trace my addiction to my very first high that I remember. This isn't my first high, but the first one I remember, I was in kindergarten. I can still remember that feeling I had that day. So in class, there would be two girls. They would take turns with me and my buddy. They would sit on our arms and they would touch themselves in the middle of the class while the teacher would be reading to us. And that feeling of doing something I know I shouldn't and almost getting caught, I was hooked instantly. It just set that physical allergy in me instantly. Like I still remember it today. By first grade, I already knew what sex was. I knew about drugs that my dad and uncle were part of. I knew what weed smelled like. I'm in first grade. Like I grew up very fast. I already knew what everything was. So, like I said, my first high I remember was in kindergarten. So my dad let me drink from the keg when I was 3 years old. And they all thought it was funny because I looked really old for my age. But the addict I already was, I took it to the extreme. I drank until I got blackout drunk. I just took that keg tap and I just chugged and everyone was cheering me on. I still remember that day. And when my mom came home freaking out, I'm surprised my dad's even alive, to tell you the truth. So my parents got divorced after my dad took me and my brother to his girlfriend's house. And he kind of expected us not to say anything. That was the first thing we did when we got home. You know, my dad, growing up, I realized he didn't have a role model in his life. He ran away as a teenager to go grow up in a marijuana field until he was about 19. When he left, he would call me and my brother. He would tell us he was coming to pick us up. Like, yo, we're going to come get you. I'm going to get you for the weekend. Never show up. He wouldn't even call. Not even call to make up a lie or nothing. He did this for years. Until one day I had my bags packed up, waiting by the door. Once again, my dad did not show. So one day, I came out of my room all happy. And my mom asked what was going on because we were just crying like 10 minutes ago. So I told her, I said, sometimes I go to my window and I pray. Sometimes good things come, sometimes bad things, but today, a good thing came. And on that day, I told my mom, God came to my window and he told me my dad wasn't my real father, that he was and that he would never leave me. My mom was really freaked out. Y'all keep it real, she was freaked out. We never talked about God in my family. I wouldn't have even learned it from anybody. I wasn't even going to school yet. So for the words to come out of my lips, And she didn't understand it, but I was happy, so she let it ride. As I grew older, I learned ways of manipulation, lying, stealing to get things I wanted. In 4th grade, our school was doing a jump rope for heart. And you go around the town and you collect money. And I'm in 4th grade and I said, yo, I got a good idea. We can go around house to house, collect the money. They never ask us unless you turn it in. So I was like, all right, let's do it. And we did that in 4th grade. That was me in 4th grade. That was a good idea. Let's go around, take money that's not ours and keep it. And that went on for years. I had schemes all the time. I wanted money to go to the movies, so I acted like I was selling popcorn in the town. Went around door to door. As I got into middle school, everyone thought I was the biggest stoner. It used to make me so mad. I was so mad. Until one day I had a couple of friends who tried it, and they talked about how fun it was. So I decided my 8th grade year that I was going to try it out. I fell in love instantly. Fell in love. My middle obsession kicked off immediately. It consumed my life. All week in school, that's all I thought about was to my next high. All week during school, I couldn't even pay attention. I'm just thinking about the weekend. Yo, we about to burn. That was me. And this went on for months. And then I was really big into skateboarding, and I had an injury in 8th grade that brought me to the doctor, and I was prescribed oxycodone as a 14-year-old. I thought, since, hey, a doctor gave it to me, I need to take this. This is medicine. I still remember taking that first pill, that first pill. Yo, it completed me. I was like, everyone should be doing this. Everybody. I loved it. I fell in love with that high instantly. It was like that. I'll never forget that. The addict in me instantly said, I'm going to save a pill every day, and then I'm going to take a whole bunch at once. Right? This is me in 8th grade already thinking like that. Just, it clicked. And so, that was the day the tape played in my head that I would listen to for years. In my addiction, I told myself a lie that it made me better with my schoolwork. It made me more attentive in class. I would raise my hand. I would talk to girls. I played that tape for years. I was successful. It made me better. I needed this. I truly believed it without a doubt. So this went on for years. So I quit working and started selling drugs full time when I was 18 years old. I felt like God. Like I was the man. I had the power of having something that you wanted. I could tell you no. Just having that control. I loved it. I shorted a lot of people to benefit myself. I was very self-seeking and greedy. I didn't care about anybody but myself. I still continue to play that tape in my head though. I was successful, I was doing drugs, and it made me a better person. You know, since my perception of a drug addict didn't meet my criteria. A drug addict for me was someone that's homeless and that smoked crack. I'm not homeless, I didn't smoke crack. Therefore, I am not an addict. I played that tape for years. And this went on, got to college. I found out one of my buddies that was in one of my classes, he was a pharmacist and worked at CVS. Big bell went off in my head. I heard he started taking pills. It was given them to somebody to sell. And instantly, the addict in me, I told him, I said, hey, I can make you more money. Bring them my way. And instantly, it went like that. Some months, I would have thousands of pills a month. And I thought it was okay. I wasn't scared. I didn't care about any kind of consequence. My name was a brand name. You said my name around town, Tim Frye, that meant quality. Real deal. This went on for years. Still playing that tape in my head. I'm a successful addict. I'm selling pills, I'm making money. My life is manageable. So my life got flipped upside down. So I went to a party, because I was the life of the party. That's what I did. That's all I did. Party. So I was at that party with my buddies. I realized he was really high. He started to fall asleep a little bit, so I had to nudge him to wake him up. It's a real close friend of mine. He was younger than me. He looked up to me. I'm not sure why. And so we're at the party. We're all on the couch. We're all outside doing our thing. And he fell asleep, and I nudged him. I'll never forget the words. He said, "My bad, bro." And then he went to sleep. So we laid him down on the couch. We continued to party, because that's what we did. We partied. As the night went through, he started to get a little pale. And I started playing that tape in my head. Well, I seen him sleep for a week straight. Like, he's straight, he's okay. Until the next morning, I found out that the people that took him home just rolled him out the back of the cab into the ditch. A jogger found him 5 in the morning. He died at the party. Later found an autopsy. He died at the party. I took this to heart. I began to abuse anything and everything. I didn't care about anything anymore. I became very depressed. I didn't realize this for years. I didn't even want to leave my room. I just wanted to stay high from morning till night. And sure enough, that's what I did. I would just push the bar more every day, more and more. So I didn't have to pay for it. People gave me their stuff. I was doing up to 600 milligrams of oxycodone a day with countless other mixtures I couldn't even describe. I couldn't even talk straight. I would just slur my words. I was sleeping all day. I wasn't living. I was stuck in a negative mindset. I didn't see good in anything. You brought me some positivity, I'd shoot you down instantly. I eventually upgraded to the needle, because that's what I did. I'm an addict. I started getting into heroin because the pills weren't enough. I didn't do too many. And I thought, hey, that's normal. I love this. I lived at home because my life was unmanageable. I did this for many years. Then one day my buddy told me about ordering drugs online. I said, yes. I thought, heck yeah, let's do it. We can get heroin really cheap. We can double up our money. I had all this big scheme, because that's what I did. I played that tape on repeat in my head. I'm successful, I'm not an addict. So the selfish drug addict that I was, I had the drugs delivered to my mom's house. There were no consequences. So the day it came, I'll never forget this. So this is the day that God entered my life. Even though I did not care, I didn't care about God. I didn't even know who He was. I still remember laughing when it came. It literally came in an envelope and a piece of paper folded over tape, and it said white china. I thought that was the most dumbest thing in the world. So what I do? Went in my room instantly. I opened it up, got my spoon, poured it out. My friend called me when we had it all set up, because he got his package that day, but he didn't know I got mine. And the selfish drug addict I was going to tell him no, but just something came over me. So I said, yeah, bro, I got mine. Come pick me up in 15 minutes. I'm gonna go jump in the shower. You know, and the person I was, I belittled you, right? So I tell you you're gonna do something, you're gonna do it. I couldn't even get out of my arm before I fell out immediately. So the person I told to come over in 15 minutes, So when he did come, my parents had just left and went grocery shopping. So it wasn't normal. So he would pull up. He wouldn't come to my door and knock because I didn't approve of that. You waited for me. I came out. You waited on me. You're on my time. So it was just weird that my parents had the door open and he said something over. He would never do this. He walked right in my house. He walked in my room because I wasn't answering my phone. Like, why would you come pick me up? I just told you I'll jump in the shower. He came in the room and found me slumped over on the floor. Everyone's freaking out. My mom's trying to give me CPR, giving me whiplash, breaking ribs, doing everything she can to try to get me awake. She told me white foam was coming out of my mouth, and she heard the sound she didn't want to hear, and that was a death gargle. When the paramedics finally got there, my mom later on told me she didn't want to come to the hospital. She knew I was dead. She didn't come to the hospital until about 3-4 hours later. She couldn't do it. So when she arrived hours later, the doctor had told my mom that they gave up on me. They gave me 5 Narcan, and they said nothing was working. I'm not responsive. They basically told her, like, in a nice way, like, we're giving up. He said even if a miracle happened and I did somehow wake up, that I'd be brain damaged, I wouldn't be able to recognize anyone or even be able to speak. I would be a vegetable. My mom told him, well, what's one more gonna hurt then? Just try one more. She kept insisting. And so he finally wanted my mom to go away, so he said, yeah, tell the nurse you do one more. And in that, I started to open my eyes. I still remember that. I had like tunnel vision. I started to come to. There was like 15 nurses on me, like, what'd you do? They're all yelling at me. And it just like something overcame me, and I passed out again. They hit me again. And I started coming to the second time. And then like I seen someone that I grew up with, and I immediately felt it. Guilt, shame, remorse. And like something just came over me and I passed out again. And then the third time, when I came to, I felt new. Words can't describe it. The nurses are so mad, yelling at me, they're like, tell me what you're on! And before I said anything, I threw my hands up. I said, I'm on heroin and I need help. I didn't know anything about recovery at the time. I realized I surrendered right then and there in that hospital bed. I've tried every middle of the road solution there is. I'm here to tell you, they don't work. I couldn't do this on my own will. I gave up. So I tried it. I just threw my hands up right then and there. I said, I need help. So earlier in that week, some dude came to the hospital and said, yo, here's my card. Anyone overdoses here, give it to him. That was pretty hardcore, dude. So the nurse, she seen I was serious, so she gave me the card and said, yo, maybe you want to reach out to this person. Because I didn't know what my next steps were. I didn't know how to live. I just knew I couldn't continue the lifestyle I was on anymore. So I ended up finding out that he ran an inpatient rehab that was insurance based. I didn't have nothing. My life's unmanageable. I don't have insurance. I don't have any money. My money was spent weeks ago before I even got it. So he suggested to me that I go to detox and call him when I'm done. So I had in my head that I needed to get out of town, since everything I knew here was drugs in my town, and I thought it would make me stumble. I thought all these things are gonna be triggers. So I went to St. Augustine. It was free. It's state ran. So it's a little detox center. It's free as long as you got drugs in your system. So you come in, whatever you come dirty on, you get a certain amount of days. I was so ready to be free. Like the whole car ride, I was like just completely honest with my mom. I told her everything, what I've been doing. She was shocked. My drug addiction was a full-time job. So after being in the detox center for a couple days, I felt different than I ever had before. I felt like I wasn't even detoxing like I always was in the past. The painful aches and running, I can go on with a list. And I started to feel feelings I hadn't felt since middle school. I felt like a little kid again. I'm laughing. I'm getting everyone in the room laughing. I just felt filled with joy. So on my third day in the detox, the staff pulled me to the side and said, "Hey, did you bring drugs in here?" Yo, I was a little offended. But then I looked in the mirror and I said, "I'm a drug addict in detox. Why am I mad that they thought I brought drugs in? Of course, that's what I do, baby." I'm like, "You're robbing me of this joy." And I was like, "I'm a detox. I'm a drug addict." Of course, they've never seen, they're like, "We've never seen anybody happy. This is detox, it's supposed to be miserable." And I was just like, I remember I got so upset. And I was laying in my little bed and I'm like, "I'm a drug addict in detox." They probably thought I'm high. I thought that was real funny. So every day, like, it was planned out hour for hour. Yo, you can't just lay in your bed all day. Like, we had meetings all day. We'd have like an outside speaker come in. Like, you weren't allowed to go outside. If you smoke cigarettes, you got a nicotine patch. You're chilling, you locked down. And like, I thought it was chill. I didn't want to leave. Because like, I was having fun. We're getting food. So my days were starting to go down. I think I was only allowed to be there for like 6 days for like what I was on. So my days are approaching. So you got to start getting in contact and finding a place to go. So we're back and forth with that dude I got the card from. I'm like, "Yo, dude, what's up?" He's like, "Well, you kind of need some money to get in here. They were trying to work out some little deal. I didn't have nothing." So we're going back and forth, back and forth. But like, yo, I didn't even freak out once something just overcame. Just like, I made it this far. Let me just sit back. Like, let's roll with it. I didn't know like at the time what it was. I was just like, let's go with it. I was just so calm. I look back now and I see God was working miracles for me. I didn't even know who He was yet, nor did I care. Detox ended up letting me stay an extra 3 days. They're still trying to figure out where I'm going to go. They told me, "Hey, find somewhere to go like you would find dope." I said, "Heck yeah, bro. I'll go to the end of the earth to get some dope." Like, come on. I understood it. They were speaking to me. I understood that. And I finally got that call. I had someone to come and pick me up. So I ended up going into a 12-person facility. It was called Serenity Springs, where I live. Because I realized in detox, it didn't matter where I went to get sober. It didn't matter. Because guess what? I'm bringing Tim with me, and Tim knows how to get high. And I was like, let's go. So I arrived in the facility, not knowing what to expect. I just knew that there were people just like me trying to help themselves. If they told me to eat dog crap, I would do it without question. I was serious. I was determined to do anything without hesitation. I didn't know how to live sober. As soon as I came in the door, I was greeted by all the guys. Yo, it was steak night. Yo, for real, steak night. That little chef in there was, I'll never forget it. But yo, they prayed before they ate. I was like, this is weird. This is really weird. I didn't get it. I was like, why y'all praying? Like, let's eat. Like, for real. I grabbed my plate and they were tripping at me. And I started going towards it. Dude, I didn't believe in God at all. I was tripping on him. I had no idea where I was at first. But yo, we dove into that 12 steps. It was like Harvard for the 12 steps. Yo, you started on it immediately, next day. Step one was easy. Step one was easy for me because I realized I went through that right there in the hospital bed. I surrendered. I knew without any hesitation. 2 and 3 was really weird for me. You know, I kind of just said, yeah, without really knowing what it meant. A higher power. I hope you don't mean God, that dude in the sky with a beard, because that's who I thought God was. Like, for real. I was so against God, and I really didn't know why. And my soon-to-be sponsor sat me down. I'll never forget it. He kind of just opened up that door for me. He says, Tim, if you go to the beach and you put your hand up to a crashing wave, what's going to happen? I said, bro, that wave's going to knock me over. There you go. There's your higher power. You know you are not the most powerful thing right now. There's something greater than you. I was like, yo, that's true. And it just clicked. I kind of understood. I'm like, okay. And it started with baby steps with me. And when I hit that 4th step, it was so powerful for me. I'm sitting there talking it out loud and blah, blah, blah. And I heard myself speaking and it just clicked, and I realized, I had no reason to have any kind of resentment towards anybody. And I realized drugs and alcohol wasn't my problem. It was a solution to an internal problem. And to be real, within like my first 30 days of like being sober, like I thought I would probably smoke again. I had a little bit of that tape playing in the back of my head. You remember when you were successful when that's all you did was smoke? You remember, Tim? You were good. You were just doing here and there. You made money. You were successful. And then about another month, I took that tape out. I threw it out. I stomped on it. And I realized I was crazy to ever think I could have just one. One will always lead to more and more and more. Before you know it, I'll have a needle in my arm again. I was starting to learn more about myself each day. I didn't know what, it was just buried so deep for so many years. I was on fire for sobriety. I ended up leaving to go to a sober living with 180 guys. It was a facility ran in my town. I had to do the 12 steps all over again, 90 meetings in 90 days. I was like, let's get it. Let's go. Whatever you tell me to do, let's go. I'm not fighting nothing because I don't know how to live. I just took suggestions, And this place was no joke. You got prostitutes walking right in front of you. You got people smoking crack 50 yards away at the gas station, selling dope right outside. My mom would come and she would cry. She was so scary, and I told her, I said, if I can't get sober here, I can't get sober anywhere. There's no excuse that I could tell myself to make myself believe that I deserve to get high. I know it's all a lie. To make myself feel okay about using. I was so determined. I completed everything that they asked me and more. I was running to my friends with the big book. I'm like, I got a solution. I can save you. Ain't none of my friends wanted it. And it was a hard pill to swallow, let me tell you. I was trying to save all my friends. And about 9 months later, I met a girl who I went to high school with, and she would take me to meetings. At this time, I still didn't believe in God. I had a higher power. I just didn't know. I had no idea what it was. God works in mysterious ways. So she just had something about her that I wanted. And no, nothing like that. Nothing like that. You guys are thinking. She had a spiritual attraction, and I wanted it. She would ask me what I believe in, and she had just converted to Christianity. And I immediately started asking her questions. Like I was going to be the one to like debunk Christianity. I'm like, what about this? What about that? And so I ended up getting the opportunity to move out here from Jacksonville. I'm from Daytona Beach. And so we stayed in contact back and forth. She would send me sermons. I'd listen. I would have questions. She'd get back with me, very patient. And I started getting this whole Jesus thing. She ended up moving to New York. So I was like, obviously I'm not into this just to get with her because she don't want to live here no more. So I started like talking to myself because I'm a little crazy. And I like I said, and I remember I asked myself, what's so wrong in believing? What's the worst that could happen? Get more sober? I was like, come on, bro. So it was suggested that I go to church, but I said, hey, whatever they do at church, I can do at home. I was listening to sermons, I'm reading to know more. So a seed got planted in me. And I'm like, in my eyes, I'm watering the seed, I'm reading a little bit, I'm listening to sermons, nothing's happening. Until I came to church and I realized I needed the sun from the church to spiritually grow. And one day I drove past Elevate Life. I felt a tug on my heart that I needed to go there. I thought it was a motivational speaking. I didn't see the church bar, I just seen Elevate Life. I was like, yeah! I was like, I'm trying to get elevated. Let's go. I looked into it, I seen it was a church. I didn't go for a while. I'll keep it real. So, woke up one day and I said, let's go. I woke up and just something came over my mind, let's go. So I was greeted like everyone knew me. I thought everyone at church was perfect, lived a straight, narrow life. I later found out that wasn't true. I literally joined about 15 small groups. I wanted to make friends who lived a lifestyle like I was. Everyone I met suggested I join the college. I just kept sharing my story with everyone. It opened all these doors for me. I came to the church to get my beak wet, and I got dunked in. I ended up getting baptized a month later, joined the college. I was told by the leader running it I wouldn't last a month. A year later, I graduated. She still owes me $20. I've still yet to see that money. What's up? I was getting on fire for God. I was getting so involved in church. I was running the small groups at the Oakleaf campus. I was looking over 250 small groups. I got a little job as a delivery driver doing produce for the pastor. Who would know just a couple years later I'd be running that company. I was being blessed left and right. I even met my wife at church. What's up? So, you know what I mean? Like, I was on fire, I was running and getting it, I loved it. And just a couple years in, I started to get burnout, catch resentment that would ultimately make me want to leave the church. To be truly honest, I started to get filled with doubt. So I took a trip to go see my mom. And each time I go, she always gives me a little tidbit, like a little story that happens. And she just so happened to wait 2 years to tell me what she told me that day. So she told me on that hospital bed, I told her, when I first came to, I told her that I said, God came to me and told me it wasn't my time yet, and that he healed me of my addiction, that I didn't have to worry about that anymore. Yo, I was so shook. I said, say it again. What'd I say? I'm for real, because I knew who I was in the hospital bed. I didn't believe in God. I wouldn't say God did that. Yo, you're crazy. I knew who I was on that bed. I was like, yo, say it again. It shook me to my bones, dude. And my season of doubt I was going through, she didn't know about it. And she said that little bit of information almost 2 years later. I knew God was speaking through my mom. She's not a believer. I'm here today to tell you that there is hope through Savior Jesus Christ. I'm a walking testimony that God can move through you. Everyone has a purpose. I still have hang-ups today. You can ask my wife. She can speak to you out in the hall. I'll leave you guys with this motto that I learned in recovery. Don't try to fight the tigers of your past. They'll eat you alive every time. Don't put unrealistic, unknown fears of the future, because it'll burn you alive every time. Focus on right now, the fruit of life, right now in this moment. Thank you guys.